Hello everyone. Tonight we have something special for you. We're going to embark on a relaxing journey to the past. We're starting with a topic that's a bit unexplored. Don't worry, it's all at a calm pace. Perfect for a good night's sleep. Picture this. You're lying in bed right now, probably in your comfy pajamas, maybe scrolling through your phone one last time. But imagine instead, you're on a straw mat in ancient Babylon, 1750 BCE, and tomorrow, you have to wake up and sell dates in the marketplace without getting creatively executed. Spoiler alert, you probably wouldn't last a week. The soft sound of desert wind will accompany us on this journey through one of history's most paranoid business environments. I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city and local time. Are you tucked in bed or still fighting sleep? Before you settle in and enjoy the video, how about leaving a like and subscribing to the channel? Only if you really enjoy what you're seeing, of course. Your support makes all the difference and motivates me to bring even more incredible content to you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. If it's too cold, grab a cozy blanket and let's begin tonight's journey together. You wake up to the suffocating heat of a Mesopotamian dawn. The Euphrates River sluggishly winds past your mud brick house, carrying the stench of rotting fish and human waste. Your stomach churns, not from the smell, but from pure terror. Today, like every day, you must venture into Babylon's grand marketplace to sell your goods. One wrong move, one misweighed sack of barley, one customer complaint, and you could find yourself experiencing King Hammurabi's creative approach to commercial justice. You splash brown river water on your face, the same water where they drowned that dishonest beer merchant last week. His crime? Accepting silver pieces instead of grain for payment. Apparently that violated some subsection of commercial law you'd never even heard of. The authorities tied stones to his feet and tossed him into the deepest part of the river. They say he thrashed for a good 3 minutes before going under. The crowd cheered. You sold dates 2 stalls down and tried not to vomit. Your breakfast consists of stale barley bread and watered-down beer. Ironically, the exact crime that got old Nabu the tavern keeper drowned in her own barrel. You carefully measure your own portions. Even in your own home, you practice precision. Paranoia has become your morning ritual. The sun hasn't fully risen, but already the temperature makes you sweat through your rough wool tunic. You check your scales for the 5th time, then a 6th. The bronze balance must be perfect. Last month, they caught Marduk the grain merchant with weights that were off by less than a shekel. They didn't kill him. Oh no, death would have been merciful. Instead, they crushed his hands between 2 stones in the public square. Now he begs outside the temple, holding up his mangled stumps for spare bread. His wife sells their children to pay debts. You wrap your merchandise carefully. Dates from your uncle's farm, supposedly the sweetest in all Babylonia. You taste one. They're mediocre at best, but you'll swear on Marduk's holy name they're divine ambrosia. Lying isn't illegal technically. Just don't get caught substituting inferior goods after showing quality samples. That merchant who tried that trick, they made him eat every single rotten fig in his inventory, 3 full baskets. His stomach ruptured on the 2nd basket. They made him finish the 3rd anyway. The streets of Babylon assault your senses as you navigate toward the marketplace. The desert wind carries the sounds of commerce and desperation through the narrow alleys. Donkeys bray, dogs fight over scraps, and the endless chatter of thousands of desperate merchants fills the air. Everyone's trying to make enough silver to survive another day without triggering one of Hammurabi's 282 legal landmines. You pass the famous stele, that massive black stone pillar where the king's laws are carved for all to see. A crowd gathers around it, as always. Some wealthy merchant's son reads aloud for the illiterate masses, probably charging a fee, the entrepreneurial little parasite. You've memorized the commercial sections through sheer terror-driven repetition. Law 108. If a tavern keeper refuses to accept grain for beer but takes money at a higher rate, or gives less beer than grain received, she shall be thrown into water. Law 218. If a physician performs major surgery with a bronze lancet and causes death, his hands shall be cut off. Law 229. If a builder constructs a house that collapses and kills the owner, the builder shall be executed. The irony isn't lost on you. They call this justice, but really it's a lottery where the prize is not dying creatively. At least back in your grandfather's day, they just clubbed you over the head if you stole something. Quick, simple, done. But Hammurabi? He turned punishment into an art form. You spot your regular spot in the market, a small patch of dirt between a potter and a textile merchant. The potter nods nervously. He's new. Replaced the last one, who apparently sold a vessel with a hidden crack. When it broke and ruined a priest's sacred oil, they made him drink molten bronze. The screaming lasted about 4 seconds. The smell lasted for days. Setting up your display requires strategic thinking. Too fancy, and the tax collectors assume you're rich. Too shabby, and customers assume your products are garbage. You arrange your dates in precise pyramids, each one gleaming with a light coating of oil. Just enough to seem fresh, not enough to seem deceptive. Your first customer approaches, a temple scribe with soft hands and hard eyes. These are the worst kind. They know the laws better than Hammurabi himself, and delight in finding violations. You bow so low your forehead nearly touches the ground. Blessed morning, honored scribe. May Shamash illuminate your path. He grunts, poking at your dates with a bronze stylus like they might be poisoned. Which, to be fair, did happen once at the competing fruit stand. That merchant claimed innocence right up until they buried him alive in a pot of honey. The ants found him particularly tasty. These dates, where from? My uncle's plantation, honored one, near the city of Nippur, where the soil is blessed by the gods themselves. Not entirely a lie. The plantation is near Nippur, about 40 miles near, but still. The scribe tastes one, chewing slowly, deliberately. You hold your breath. If he claims it's rotten, if he says you misrepresented the quality, if he even suggests you violated commercial honor, acceptable. 3 shekels of silver for a basket. Your heart nearly explodes with relief, but you keep your face neutral. Never show desperation, never show joy. Both can be interpreted as guilt. You weigh out the dates with exaggerated care, adding an extra handful. Better to lose profit than trigger accusations of short waiting. As the scribe walks away with his dates, you allow yourself exactly 1 breath of relief. The morning sun climbs higher, transforming the marketplace into an open-air oven. Sweat drips down your back, mixing with the general film of dust and desperation that coats every merchant in Babylon. The hot desert wind does nothing to cool you, merely stirring the dust into small devils that dance between the market stalls. You notice the weight inspector making his rounds. Your sphincter clenches involuntarily. This particular inspector, a weasel-faced man named Sin Nasir, has a reputation for finding violations where none exist. Last week he declared a merchant's bronze weights were suspiciously shiny, and therefore possibly tampered with. They made the poor bastard carry massive stones on his back for 3 days straight as punishment. His spine never quite straightened out after that. Time to recalibrate everything. Again. You pull out your standard weights. Perfectly legitimate chunks of bronze that you've had triple verified by 3 different official weight masters. The certificates cost you a month's profits, but they're your only defense against interpretation of the laws. Your scales balance perfectly. Of course they do. You spent an hour this morning making sure. But Sin Nasir approaches with that particular swagger of a man who enjoys his power over life and death a little too much. "Merchant!" he barks. "Present your measurement tools for inspection." You bow and gesture to your scales with the enthusiasm of a man showing off his own execution device. Of course, honored inspector. All certified and verified by the temple authorities. He examines each weight like he's searching for evidence of murder, which, in Babylon's legal system, incorrect weights basically are murder. Economic murder. The kind where they get really creative with the punishment. This weight. He holds up your 1 mina standard. It seems light. Your blood turns to ice water in the desert heat. Honored inspector, it was verified just last month by... Are you questioning my judgment? Ah, there it is. The trap. Say yes, and you're challenging royal authority. Say no, and you're admitting to false weights. You've seen this play before. Usually it ends with someone losing appendages. I would never presume to question your wisdom, honored one. Perhaps my humble scales require recalibration. Allow me to test against your official standards? It's a gamble. Sometimes they appreciate the deference. Sometimes they see it as an attempted bribe. Sin Nasir's rat face contemplates your fate, while you try not to visibly quake. He pulls out his official weights, the ones blessed by the temple priests and sealed with the royal mark. You place them on your scales. They balance perfectly with your weights. Because of course they do. You're not an idiot. But Sin-Nasir frowns like he's personally offended by physics. Acceptable. For now. He moves on to terrorize the pottery merchant, who immediately drops a vessel in panic. The crash echoes across the market. That'll cost him. Your hands shake as you return to your display. A middle-aged woman approaches, examining your dates with the critical eye of someone who's been shopping these markets for decades. You recognize her, wife of a minor temple administrator. Not powerful enough to destroy you, but connected enough to make your life miserable. These dates look dry, she announces loudly enough for half the market to hear. Your stomach drops. A quality complaint. In public. This is how it starts. First one customer claims your product is substandard. Then others pile on, smelling blood in the water. Before you know it, you're being dragged before a magistrate explaining why you're not a fraudulent parasite deserving of creative execution. Honored lady, you begin, your voice steady despite the tremor in your hands. These dates were picked just 4 days ago. The journey from Nippur perhaps removed some surface moisture, but the sweetness remains concentrated, like the honey of the gods themselves. She narrows her eyes. You can feel other customers pausing their own transactions to watch. In Babylon's markets, a merchant's downfall is public entertainment, better than the street performers, and free. Prove it. 2 words that might save or damn you. You select a date from the middle of the pile, never from the display top that seems rehearsed, and bite it in half. The other half you offer to her with a bow. Please, honored one, let your refined palate judge. She chews slowly, suspiciously. The entire market section seems to hold its breath. Then, miracle of miracles, she nods. Acceptable, but your price better reflect the quality. You nearly weep with relief while negotiating. She haggles you down to barely above cost, but you're still breathing and still have all your body parts. That's a win in Babylon. The morning wears on. Each transaction is a dance with death, each customer a potential accuser. You've developed a 6th sense for trouble. The way certain people finger their money pouches suggests they're calculating whether to claim you shortchange them. The way others examine your goods suggests they're looking for any excuse to cry fraud. Then you see them, the river guards. Your bowels turn to water. These aren't regular city watch. These are the special unit that handles the river ordeal. Hammurabi's favorite form of divine justice. When accusations can't be proven either way, they let the Euphrates decide. The accused gets thrown into the river's most violent rapids. Survive, and the gods have proven your innocence. Drown, and clearly you were guilty. The house always wins. They're dragging someone, a cloth merchant you recognize. He's sobbing, begging, claiming innocence. His crime. A customer claimed the purple dye in a robe faded after one washing. Could be true. Could be the customer wanted a refund. Doesn't matter now. Please, he screams. I have children. I bought that dye from the Phoenicians. It's not my fault. The guards ignore him. They've heard every excuse, every plea. They're basically mobile executioners with a religious excuse. The crowd follows, eager for entertainment. You should keep selling, keep your head down, but morbid curiosity wins. You secure your goods and join the procession. At the riverbank, they've already gathered the ritual implements. Rope to ensure he can't swim to the gentle shallows. Weights to make it sporting. Not enough to guarantee drowning, just enough to make survival unlikely. The priests mutter prayers, asking Marduk to reveal truth through water. Even here by the Euphrates, the desert wind howls, as if nature itself demands witness to the river ordeal. The cloth merchant has gone from sobbing to bargaining. I'll pay triple restitution. I'll sacrifice 10 goats to the temple. Please, just let me make this right. The head guard, a mountain of a man with dead eyes, speaks the ritual words. Let the divine waters of the Euphrates, blessed by Ea, reveal truth. If you are innocent, the river will embrace you gently. If guilty, it shall claim what is owed. They don't mention that in the 30 years since Hammurabi instituted this practice, maybe 5 people have survived the ordeal. Those 5 probably had friends upstream to pull them out, but nobody talks about that. The cloth merchant's screams cut off abruptly as they shove him into the churning waters. The weights around his ankles drag him down immediately. He surfaces once, mouth open in a silent scream, arms flailing desperately. The current catches him, spins him like a child's toy. Then he's gone. The crowd waits. Some count silently. If he resurfaces within 100 heartbeats, the gods have spoken. You find yourself counting along despite your horror. 20, 40, 60. At 90, something bobs up downstream. Hope flickers in the crowd, then dies. It's just his turban, unwinding in the current like a purple snake. The 100 count passes. The priests declare divine judgment rendered. The guards are already walking away, discussing lunch plans. His workshop will be seized for the temple. Someone mentions casually. Good location, prime real estate. Ah, there it is. Sometimes you wonder if the accusations are really about justice or just property acquisition. The temple always seems to need more workshops, more storefronts, more revenue streams. Dead merchants can't object to eminent domain. You hurry back to your stall, stomach churning. The afternoon desert wind picks up, hot and dry, carrying the smell of fear from the river. That could be you. Any day, any transaction, any customer with a grudge or greed. One accusation of selling moldy dates, one claim of short wait, and you'd be gargling river water while priests divided up your worldly goods. Your spot in the market has been disturbed. Someone's been poking around your dates. Your blood pressure spikes. Then you see it's just a street kid, maybe 8 years old, with the hollow eyes of chronic hunger. He's got date juice on his fingers. In any other city, you'd chase him off with a stick. In Babylon, striking a child who might be a citizen's son means losing the hand you struck with. You can't tell citizen children from slave children from foreign children. They all look equally grubby, so you do nothing, just glare until he scampers away. The afternoon brings its own special hell. The heat has turned your dates into sticky little furnaces. Flies circle like tiny vultures. You wave them away constantly, knowing that selling fly-covered produce could be construed as health violation. What's the penalty for that? Probably something involving insects and orifices. A wealthy merchant approaches, gold rings glinting on fat fingers. You recognize him. Belsunu owns 3 taverns and a brothel. Also owns several judges, if rumors are true. These are the most dangerous customers. Too powerful to refuse, too corrupt to trust. Date merchant, he booms, loud enough to establish dominance. I need 40 baskets for my daughter's wedding feast. Your finest quality. 40 baskets. That's more than you have. More than you could get quickly. But saying no to Belsunu, that's like saying no to gravity. Physics and Babylonian politics share one rule. The powerful crush the weak. Of course, honored lord. 40 baskets of heaven's sweetness. When would you need them? Tomorrow sunset. Your brain screams impossibility while your mouth says, it will be done. He smiles like a crocodile. Excellent. And merchant? If a single guest finds a single bad date, well, he draws a finger across his throat. We'll let the river judge your quality control. He walks away laughing, leaving you to contemplate the logistics of acquiring 30 additional baskets of premium dates by tomorrow, or learning to breathe underwater. Your mind races through options like a rat in a burning granary. 30 baskets by tomorrow. Your uncle's plantation could maybe supply 10 if you rode hard through the night. But the other 20? Every date merchant in Babylon is your competition. They'd rather watch you drown than sell you their stock. Unless you glance toward the judicial quarter, where the law courts handle daily disputes. You've avoided that place like it's cursed, which it basically is. But desperate times call for desperate measures. If you can't buy dates legally, maybe you can buy a judge. The irony isn't lost on you. To avoid execution for failing a commercial contract, you're considering the exact crime that carries its own creative punishment. Bribing a judge means having your bribe multiplied by 12 and paid as a fine. If you can't pay, they sell you into slavery. If you're already poor, they get creative with body parts. But what choice do you have? Drowning tomorrow or possible dismemberment later? You close your stall early, claiming stomach distress. Not entirely a lie. Your intestines feel like they're trying to escape through your throat. The other merchants barely notice. They're too busy with their own daily dance of survival. Outside, the desert wind has calmed to a whisper, as if even nature fears the night watch. The courthouse squats in the city center like a massive mud brick toad. Carved reliefs show Hammurabi receiving the law from Shamash, the sun god. Justice flowing from heaven to earth. What a joke. The only thing flowing here is silver from desperate hands to greedy officials. Inside, the air reeks of fear sweat and papyrus. Scribes scurry about with their reed pens and clay tablets, recording every complaint, every judgment, every creative execution order. You recognize one scribe, bought dates from you last month. He avoids eye contact. Smart man. You're looking for Judge Nabu Ramani. Word in the market is he's flexible for the right price. Also word is 3 merchants who tried to bribe him last year ended up as public examples. But those were amateurs. They probably approached him directly, like idiots. You have a subtler plan. Citizen, a guard barks. State your business. I wish to observe the proceedings. You lie smoothly. To better understand His Majesty's perfect justice. The guard shrugs. Watching trials is free entertainment for those with strong stomachs. You settle onto a bench in the back, pretending interest while actually scanning for Nabu Ramani. The current case involves a builder whose roof collapsed, injuring the owner's prize goat. The builder claims the homeowner cheaped out on materials. The homeowner claims shoddy workmanship. Both probably right. The judge, not Nabu Ramani, unfortunately, looks bored as he sentences the builder to replace the goat plus pay damages equal to the goat's theoretical lifetime milk production. Could be worse. Last week, a builder whose wall collapsed got buried alive under an identical wall built from his own bricks. Then you spot him. Nabu Ramani enters through a side door, his linen robes pristine despite the heat. He's younger than you expected, with the soft look of someone who's never missed a meal. Perfect. The well-fed are always hungry for more. You wait. Patience is survival. When he finishes his current case, a merchant accused of watering wine, sentenced to drink his entire inventory in one sitting, you make your move. But not directly. Never directly. Instead, you accidentally bump into his scribe in the hallway. Your money pouch accidentally spills. While gathering the silver pieces, you accidentally mention your terrible dilemma. How you desperately need someone who might know a date supplier with emergency inventory. The scribe's eyes glitter with understanding. In Babylon, everyone's survival depends on reading between lines. Perhaps, the scribe whispers while helping you collect your mysteriously abundant silver, you should visit the Red Lotus Tavern after sunset. Sometimes merchants discuss supply solutions there. You press an extra silver piece into his palm. How clumsy of me. This must have rolled under your foot. He pockets it smoothly. May Marduk guide your commercial ventures. Code received. Message understood. You've just arranged a bribe without actually arranging anything. If this goes wrong, you never spoke to the judge. You were just clumsy with money near a helpful scribe. Plausible deniability might be the only thing keeping your head attached to your shoulders. The rest of the afternoon drags like a funeral procession. You return to the market pretending to sell dates while actually calculating how much silver you can spare for bribes. Too little, and Nabu Ramani won't bite. Too much, and you'll seem suspicious. Or worse, worth robbing. You've saved 40 silver shekels over 3 years of paranoid penny pinching. It represents every luxury denied, every meal skipped, every small pleasure sacrificed on the altar of survival. Now you might blow it all on one desperate gamble. The sun sets like a bronze disc dropping into the Euphrates. Night brings different dangers. Thieves, murderers, and worst of all, the Night Watch. They have a habit of finding crimes where none exist, especially if your money pouch jingles too loudly. The desert wind stirs occasionally, carrying whispers of danger through empty streets. The Red Lotus squats in the foreign quarter, where Assyrian merchants rub shoulders with Egyptian traders and mysterious men from the far Indies. It's the kind of place where deals happen in shadows and nobody remembers faces. Perfect for your purposes, terrifying for your life expectancy. Inside, smoke from frankincense and hashish creates a fog thick enough to hide sins. You order beer, the good stuff, not the pig swill that gets tavern keepers drowned. Your eyes adjust slowly to the gloom. There, back corner. Nabu Ramani sits with 2 companions, laughing at some private joke. Probably about the merchant they sentenced to eat his own inventory. You wait, nursing your beer, trying to look like just another tired trader drowning his sorrows. An hour passes. One companion leaves, then the other. Nabu Ramani remains, swirling wine in a cup that probably costs more than your monthly earnings. Time to roll the dice. You approach carefully, like approaching a sleeping lion. Honored judge. What a pleasant surprise. He looks up with eyes that miss nothing. I don't know you. Of course not, honored one. I'm nobody. Just a date merchant with a problem only wisdom such as yours could solve. The courts are closed. Submit your petition tomorrow. It's not a legal matter, more of a philosophical question about the nature of supply and demand. His eyes narrow. You're walking the razor's edge between subtle and stupid. One wrong word and you'll be tomorrow's creative execution. Philosophical questions can be expensive to answer, he says finally. 20 silver shekels expensive? He laughs. Actually laughs. My boy, 20 shekels wouldn't buy you the time it takes to sneeze. Try again. Your palms sweat. 30? Now you insult me. Do you know what I risk even having this conversation? You do know. If caught taking bribes, he'd face the same fate as those he sentenced. The irony would be delicious if it weren't your life on the line. 40 shekels. It's everything I have. He considers this, swirling his wine. You can see him calculating. Risk versus reward. The eternal Babylonian mathematics. 40 shekels, Naburimani muses. And what exactly would this philosophical discussion cover? You lean in, voice barely above a whisper. The theoretical question of how a humble merchant might acquire 30 baskets of premium dates by tomorrow's sunset. Purely hypothetical, of course. Of course. He smiles like a snake digesting a mouse. And this theoretical merchant. He wouldn't happen to have annoyed someone powerful. Your silence is answer enough. He chuckles. Bel Sunu. Has to be. Only he would demand the impossible just to watch someone drown. That fat bastard goes through more merchants than a plague. Hope flickers. He knows your situation. More importantly, he seems to dislike Belsunu, enemy of my enemy, and all that. 40 shekels, he continues. Buys you information. Nothing more. No guarantees. No protection if things go badly. And if anyone asks, we discuss temple donations. Understood? You nod frantically. At this point, you'd agree to donate your firstborn to his personal temple. He leans back, adopting a professorial air. Theoretically speaking, there's a warehouse near the southern gate. Used to belong to a merchant named Enlil Bani. Poor fellow sold some bad figs to a priest. They made him eat every single one, including the stems. Ruptured his stomach on day 2, but they kept feeding him until he died on day 4. Your own stomach clenches in sympathy. Now, theoretically, his widow might have inherited quite a substantial inventory. Dates, figs, apricots, all sitting there while she battles his brothers in court over the estate. She might be amenable to a quick, discreet sale. Cash only, no records. And theoretically, where might one find this widow? Theoretically, she visits her husband's grave every morning at dawn. Eastern Cemetery, near the Potter's Field. The pre-dawn desert wind moans through the tombs like the voices of the dead there. Theoretically, she might appreciate a donation to help with her legal fees. Say, 20 shekels worth of appreciation. Your mental abacus clicks. 40 to the judge, 20 to the widow, leaves you with nothing. But nothing is better than dead. One more thing, Naburimani adds. Her late husband's brothers are violent men. If they catch you dealing with her, well, let's just say the river ordeal would be merciful compared to what they'd do. Wonderful. As if you needed more ways to die. You slide the silver across the table, hidden under a linen cloth. He palms it with practiced ease. Transaction complete. You've just committed a capital crime to avoid a capital punishment. Babylonian logic at its finest. May Shamash light your path, he says formally, the ancient dismissal. And may Marduk guard your judgment, you respond, completing the ritual. You leave separately, him through the front, you through the back alley that stinks of vomit and poor life choices. The night air feels like freedom and doom mixed together. Now you have a plan. Also, you have no money, a possibly fake lead, and violent brothers to avoid. But it's better than this morning when you just had certain death. Progress, Babylonian style. The walk home takes twice as long as usual. You double back 3 times, convinced you're being followed. Every shadow could hide a thief who noticed your heavy purse earlier. Every footstep could be the night watch, about to arrest you for bribery. But you make it home unmolested. Your hovel has never looked so welcoming. You collapse on your straw mat. fully clothed, and try to plan tomorrow's approach. How do you convince a grieving widow to illegally sell her dead husband's inventory? What's the etiquette for graveside business negotiations? Sleep eludes you like an honest merchant in Babylon. You toss on your mat, replaying every possible scenario. The widow could refuse. She could be a trap set by Belsunu. Her brothers-in-law could catch you. The dates could be rotten. The judge could have lied. The possibilities for death multiply like flies on a corpse. Finally, exhaustion wins. You manage perhaps 2 hours of fitful sleep before jerking awake in the pre-dawn darkness. Time to visit a cemetery and commit some light grave robbing. Well, technically inventory robbing, but who's counting? You dress in your shabbiest tunic. No point looking prosperous in a graveyard. Attracts the wrong kind of attention. The streets are empty except for bakers starting their ovens and criminals finishing their work. You fit somewhere between those categories now. The Eastern Cemetery sprawls like a city of the dead. Thousands of mud-brick tombs crumble slowly back to earth. The poor get shallow graves marked with pottery shards. The rich get elaborate chambers they can't enjoy. Death, the only truly equal opportunity employer in Babylon. The pre-dawn desert wind moans through the tombs like the voices of the dead. You wander among the graves, trying to look like a mourner while actually searching for recent additions. The Potter's Field section is easy to find. It reeks of clay and broken dreams. There, near a freshly dug mound, a woman in widow's whites rocks back and forth, keening softly. Now comes the delicate part. How do you interrupt a woman's grief to propose illegal business dealings? There's no tablet of law for this situation. Hammurabi apparently never considered graveside commerce. You approach slowly, clearing your throat. She doesn't look up. Your pardon, honored widow. I come seeking Enlil Bani's wife. Seeking her for what? Her voice is raw from crying. To mock her? To demand payment for debts? To steal what little remains? To offer assistance. In these difficult times, she laughs bitterly. Assistance? Where was assistance when they forced figs down his throat until his belly split? Where was assistance when his brothers claimed his workshop before his body was cold? You kneel beside her, abandoning pretense. I know about desperate situations, honored one. Right now, I face my own death sentence if I can't fulfill an impossible contract. I heard, that is, someone suggested you might have inventory to sell. Quietly, she finally looks at you. Her face is younger than expected, maybe 25, with eyes aged by watching her husband die of forced fig consumption. You want to buy his dates? Not a question. I need 30 baskets by sunset, premium quality. I can pay 20 silver shekels. Cash, no records. 20 shekels, she spits. His brothers offered me 5 for the entire warehouse, said I should be grateful for that much. Then take my 20. Use it to fight them in court, or flee the city, or whatever brings you peace. But please, I'm begging you, without those dates, I'll be swimming the Euphrates tomorrow. She studies you for a long moment. Two desperate people recognizing each other across the vast gulf of Babylonian misery. The warehouse is guarded. His brothers posted men there to prevent exactly this kind of transaction. Your heart sinks. Of course it's guarded. Nothing is ever simple when your life depends on it. But, she continues, they're lazy. They drink heavily and sleep past dawn prayers. If someone were to arrive very early, with a cart and strong backs, hope flickers again. I can arrange that. First light tomorrow? Tonight, after midnight prayers. The guards change shift then, and there's a moment when no one watches. Bring your 20 shekels and men you trust. I'll ensure the gate is unbarred. You spend the rest of the morning arranging the impossible. First, finding trustworthy men in Babylon is like finding virgins in a brothel. Theoretically possible, but highly unlikely. You settle for, probably won't murder you immediately, and hire 3 dock workers who owe you minor favors. Next, the cart. Renting one requires leaving collateral, but you've already spent everything on bribes. You end up promising your entire stall space to a cart owner, contingent on surviving tomorrow. If you die, he gets prime market real estate. He seems inappropriately eager about this arrangement. The day crawls by with agonizing slowness. You go through the motions at your stall, selling a few dates to maintain appearances. Every customer could be a spy for Belsunu, checking if you're fulfilling his impossible order. You smile and lie and promise tomorrow's delivery with confidence you don't feel. The desert wind carries your false promises across the market. As darkness falls, you meet your hired muscle at a tavern near the docks. They're exactly what you'd expect. Scarred, suspicious, and smelling like the bottom of a boat. But they show up, which puts them ahead of most Babylonians. The pay? The largest one grunts. 2 shekels each, after we load the dates. And if there's trouble, then we run. I'm hiring loaders, not soldiers. They exchange glances. Fair enough, but we run at the first sign of guards. Got it? You nod. Heroes are for epic poems. Survivors are for tomorrow's market. Midnight approaches like an executioner. The city settles into its uneasy sleep, punctuated by dogs barking and the occasional scream. You lead your crew through back alleys, avoiding the main thoroughfares where night watch patrols might ask uncomfortable questions. The warehouse district looms ahead. Massive mud brick structures that hold the city's wealth. Or in this case, a dead man's dates that might save your life. Through the cracks in the warehouse walls, the desert wind whistles warnings. You spot the guards immediately. 2 of them, sharing a wineskin near a brazier. They're not exactly alert, but they're not unconscious either. Your bowels turn to water. The widow said they'd be gone during shift change. Either she lied or something's changed. That's more than we signed up for, one of your loaders whispers. Wait, you hiss. Just wait. Minutes crawl by. The guards finish their wine, argue about something, then finally wander off. Shift change. The widow was right. You have maybe 10 minutes before replacements arrive. Now, move. You rush to the warehouse gate. True to her word, it's unbarred. Inside, darkness swallows you. The smell hits first. Dates, figs, dried apricots, the ghost of profitable commerce. Your eyes adjust slowly, revealing row upon row of storage jars and baskets. Load everything marked with the date merchant's seal, you order. Quick and quiet. Your crew works with the efficiency of men who've robbed warehouses before. Not that you're asking questions. Baskets fly from storage to cart with practiced ease. 10 baskets, 20, 25. Someone's coming, the lookout hisses. Footsteps, multiple sets. Either the new guards arriving early, or the brothers making a midnight inspection. Either way, you're dead if caught. 5 more baskets, you plead. Just 5 more. Not worth our lives, the big loader says. We're leaving, now. 27 baskets. Not 30, but maybe enough if you supplement with your own inventory. You'll have to hope Belsunu's guests don't count too carefully. You flee into the night, cartwheels creaking loud enough to wake the dead. Every shadow could hide pursuit. Every sound could be armed brothers seeking vengeance. But somehow, miraculously, you make it back to your storehouse. The night desert wind covers the sound of your cartwheels. Dawn arrives with the subtlety of a temple gong. Dawn arrives with the desert wind carrying the scent of survival. You haven't slept, instead spending the night inspecting every single date in your stolen inventory. Thank Marduk, they're actually premium quality. Sweet, plump, and free of obvious defects. Enlil Bani might have sold fatal figs, but his dates were apparently above reproach. You pay your loaders and send them away before they can spread rumors. Then begins the delicate task of mixing the stolen dates with your legitimate inventory to create 40 baskets of uniform quality. It's like performing surgery with a bronze knife. Technically possible, but nerve-wracking. By midday, you've arranged everything at Belsunu's compound. His servants inspect each basket with the thoroughness of customs agents searching for contraband. You stand there sweating, not from heat, but from pure terror. 1 bad date, 1 complaint. That's all it takes. These seem acceptable, the head servant finally declares. You nearly collapse with relief. Lord Belsunu will evaluate them personally at the feast tonight. You're to remain here until then. Your blood freezes. Remain here? In case there are any quality issues. Lord Belsunu prefers immediate resolution of customer complaints. Translation: if anyone gets a bad date, they'll throw you in the river before dessert is served. You're not a supplier anymore. You're a hostage. They escort you to a small room that's definitely not a cell, but certainly isn't guest quarters. 1 door, no windows. A guard posted outside. You sit on a rough bench and contemplate the irony. You've avoided drowning only to become a prisoner awaiting judgment by fruit. Through the walls, beyond the feast sounds, you hear the eternal desert wind. Hours pass. Through the walls, you hear feast preparations. Music, laughter, the clink of wine cups. Your 40 baskets are out there somewhere, each one a potential death sentence. Did you miss a rotten one? Did the mixing reveal the different sources? Are Belsunu's guests the type to complain about everything just to seem sophisticated? As sunset approaches, the door opens. Not guards coming to drag you to the river, but the widow. She's dressed as a serving woman, carrying a water jug. Your heart stops. What are you doing here? She smiles grimly, ensuring my investment pays off. If you die, I don't get my 20 shekels. So I took a job serving at the feast. Been watching your dates all evening. And? 3 complaints so far. Your knees buckle. 3 complaints. 3 chances for Belsunu to demand river justice. But, she continues, I handled them. Swapped the complaint about dates for fresh ones from the kitchen stores before anyone important noticed. Turns out servants are invisible at these feasts. Useful for preventing merchant executions. You stare at her in amazement. Why would you risk this for me? Because tomorrow I leave Babylon forever. Your 20 shekels bought me passage to Egypt, where my sister lives, where they don't force-feed people figs until they die. She pauses. Also, Belsunu was one of the judges who condemned my husband. Saving you ruins his entertainment. Small victories matter. Before you can respond, she's gone. You sit back down, weak with relief and newfound respect for vengeful widows. The feast continues. No guards arrive. No summons to explain yourself. As dawn approaches, the head servant returns. Lord Belsunu is satisfied. The dates were acceptable. You may go. You don't ask questions. You don't celebrate. You simply bow and walk out with as much dignity as your trembling legs allow. Only when you're 3 streets away do you allow yourself to breathe properly. You stumble through the morning streets like a drunk, except your intoxication comes from survival rather than wine. 40 baskets delivered. No complaints that stuck. No river ordeal. You're alive, broke, and traumatized. But alive counts for everything in Babylon. The market buzzes with fresh gossip when you arrive. Apparently, last night's entertainment at Belsunu's feast wasn't your execution, but something even more elaborate. They caught a scribe embezzling from the temple treasury. Made him count every single grain of barley he'd stolen while balanced on 1 foot. When he fell after 6 hours, they declared it proof of guilt and sentenced him to have his fingers broken one by one. Then they made him continue counting. You shudder and return to your stall. Your legitimately acquired dates look pathetic after handling premium goods, but they're honestly purchased, and that counts for something. Maybe not much in Babylon's economy, but something. The morning desert wind stirs your pathetic remaining dates. The morning brings a familiar face. That scribe from the temple, the one who first bought dates days ago. He looks nervous, which makes you nervous. Temple officials with expressions mean paperwork, and paperwork means potential violations. Date merchant, he begins formally. I'm here on official business. Your recently emptied bowels somehow find more liquid to turn into. How may I serve the temple, honored one? There's been a complaint filed. Of course there has. You survived Belsunu only to face some new accusation. The wheel of Babylonian justice never stops grinding bones. Someone reported suspicious activity near the warehouse district 2 nights ago. A cart, loaded in darkness. Guards who mysteriously disappeared during their shift. He pauses meaningfully. The warehouse of the late Enlil-Bani was found to be missing significant inventory. You keep your face carefully neutral while your mind races. Deny everything? Confess and beg mercy? Offer a bribe? Each option carries its own creative punishment. However, the scribe continues, the widow of Enlil-Bani has provided documentation that she sold said inventory legitimately. Cash transaction. All proper taxes paid this morning at the temple. You blink. The widow covered her tracks. And yours. From Egypt. She's still saving your life. Furthermore, he adds, Lord Belsunu himself has provided testimony that you delivered excellent dates to his feast. He's quite satisfied with your service. Now you're completely lost. Belsunu defending you? That's like a crocodile advocating for vegetarianism. The scribe leans closer, dropping the official tone. Between us? Belsunu despises those brothers who tried to steal the warehouse. They owe him money from a failed venture. By helping you get those dates, you've helped him twist the knife in his enemies. He's positively gleeful about their loss. Babylonian politics. You accidentally chose the right side in a conflict you didn't know existed. Your survival was just a side effect of rich men's grudges. So no charges will be filed, the scribe concludes. Though I'd suggest maintaining a lower profile for a while. The brothers are furious but can't prove anything. Still, angry men with wounded pride tend to find creative outlets for their frustration. He leaves you to contemplate this new threat. You survived the impossible contract, the river ordeal, the warehouse heist, only to gain new enemies who'll wait months or years for revenge. In Babylon, survival is just the entry fee for more elaborate problems. The afternoon settles into its familiar rhythm of paranoia and commerce. The desert wind, constant as death and taxes, whips through the market, carrying scents of spice, sweat, and fear. You've learned to read its moods. When it gusts suddenly, guards are coming. When it dies to nothing, trouble brewing. Today it blows steady and hot, the soundtrack to your continued survival. A young woman approaches your stall, examining dates with unusual intensity. She's well-dressed but not ostentatiously so. The dangerous middle ground of minor nobility or major merchant class. Either way, she can afford to make your life miserable. These dates, she says, loud enough for neighboring stalls to hear. They look exactly like the ones at Lord Belsunu's feast last night. Your blood transforms into ice water despite the desert heat. She was at the feast. She knows about your contract. This could go very badly very quickly. I couldn't say, honored lady. I merely provided dates for the celebration. Many merchants supply similar goods. She smiles, and it's not entirely unfriendly. Relax, merchant. I'm not here to cause trouble. Quite the opposite. Those dates were exceptional. My father wants to know your supplier. Ah, another impossible situation. You can't reveal you stole them from a dead man's warehouse. But refusing to share supplier information suggests you have something to hide. The desert wind gusts suddenly, as if laughing at your predicament. My sources are varied, honored one. I collect from multiple farms to ensure consistent quality. How diplomatic. She leans closer. Let me be frank. My father is hosting the Harvest Festival next month. 200 guests. He wants your dates specifically. Can you handle such an order? 200 guests. That would require maybe 60 baskets. Your current legitimate suppliers could maybe provide 20. The widow is gone to Egypt with her stolen inventory. You're being asked to perform another miracle. And fresh out of divine intervention. Of course, you hear yourself saying. Because what else can you say? Refusing means insulting someone who attended Belsunu's feast. Someone with connections and expectations. Though such quality requires time to source properly. You have 3 weeks. She places a small leather pouch on your counter. A deposit. Father insists on paying premium for premium goods. The pouch is heavy. You peek inside. Gold, not silver. Enough to actually buy 60 baskets of quality dates if you can find them. Your fingers tremble as you accept it. Your father is most generous. May I ask his name? For my records? Sin Idinam, the royal tax assessor. The desert wind seems to pause, as if even nature recognizes the significance. The royal tax assessor. The man who can destroy any merchant with a single unfavorable report. The man who probably knows exactly which warehouses got robbed recently, and by whom. I'll ensure your father receives only the finest dates in all Babylonia, you manage. She nods and departs, leaving you to contemplate this new complication. You've gone from dodging death to accepting gold from the one man who could unravel your entire warehouse heist with a few questions. The desert wind resumes its mockery, stirring dust and dread in equal measure. 3 weeks. 21 days to acquire 60 baskets of premium dates for the royal tax assessor. The desert wind carries your whispered calculations as you frantically plan. Your legitimate suppliers can provide 20 baskets. You need 40 more, without stealing, without dying, without triggering an investigation into your recent activities. You close your stall early and make the rounds of your competitors. The same merchants who would cheerfully watch you drown might sell to you now that you have gold to spend. Money lubricates many consciences in Babylon. Dates? Old Shamash Nasir laughs when you approach. Premium dates? Boy, every merchant in the city is scrambling for inventory. It's harvest season. The temples buy everything, the nobles demand their share, and us regular merchants fight over scraps. The desert wind whips his gray beard as he speaks. He's been selling dates longer than you've been alive, survived more regime changes than a royal seal. If anyone has hidden inventory, it's him. I can pay gold, you offer quietly. His eyes sharpen. Gold? From whom? A satisfied customer. Private sale. He studies you like you're a particularly interesting clay tablet. Sin Idanam's harvest festival. Has to be. He's the only one who pays gold for fruit. He strokes his beard while the desert wind tugs at his robes. Boy, do you know what you've stepped in? A profitable opportunity? A test. Sin Idanam doesn't just assess taxes. He assesses people. Their honesty, their connections, their ability to deliver under pressure. Those who pass become preferred suppliers. Those who fail, he draws a finger across his throat. Well, he finds discrepancies in their tax records. Amazing how many merchants have been skimming without knowing it. Your stomach performs acrobatics that would impress a temple dancer. You thought this was just another rich man's party order? Instead, it's an audition for survival. So will you sell to me or not? He names a price that would have made you faint 6 months ago. With Sin Idanam's gold, it's merely painful rather than impossible. You haggle because not haggling would be suspicious, but eventually agree. 15 baskets from his private stock. The pattern repeats across the market. Each merchant knows about Sin Idanam's order. Each charges premium prices. The desert wind follows you from stall to stall, witness to your growing desperation. By sunset, you've secured promises for 35 baskets, still 5 short, and your gold nearly exhausted. That night, you lie on your mat, listening to the desert wind scratch at your walls like a hungry ghost. 5 baskets. Such a small number, such an enormous problem. You could try diluting premium dates with standard ones, but Sin Idanam's guests will include other merchants, competitive connoisseurs who'd spot the substitution immediately. You could claim supplier problems, partial delivery only. But that suggests incompetence, and incompetent merchants tend to have tax problems. Fatal tax problems. The desert wind brings a sudden memory. Your cousin, in Nippur. Lazy, unreliable, but he married into a date farming family. You haven't spoken in 2 years after he borrowed silver and forgot to repay. But desperate times call for desperate relatives. At dawn, you hire a messenger. The desert wind will carry him south faster than the riverboats. Your message is simple. Need 5 baskets premium dates. We'll pay double. Family emergency. You include most of your remaining gold as motivation. Now comes the waiting. The desert wind marks time as you fulfill your regular customer orders. Maintain your stall. Pretend everything is normal. Inside, you're calculating distances, travel times, the reliability of cousins who've already proven unreliable. 7 days before the festival, your messenger returns. Alone. The desert wind that follows him into your stall carries only dust and disappointment. No cousin, no dates. Your heart sinks toward your sandals. Your cousin sends his regrets, the messenger reports. Says the family dates are already committed to temple contracts. But he sent this. A small clay tablet, sealed with your cousin's mark. You break it open with trembling fingers, expecting excuses. Instead, you find salvation in cuneiform. Brother. Cannot provide dates but know someone who can. Persian trader passing through Nippur next week with caravan from the eastern oasis. Premium quality, untouched by Babylonian middlemen. Will arrive Babylon 3 days before festival. Look for Darius at the Ishtar gate. Tell him Arash sends you. He owes me favor. Persians. Your salvation depends on foreign traders who might not show up, selling dates that might not exist, based on a favor that might be imaginary. The desert wind laughs at your predicament, but it's better than nothing. You spend the next days in agony. Your other suppliers deliver their promised baskets. You inspect each date like a jeweler examining gems. Quality is good, even excellent, but you're still 5 baskets short of glory or doom. 3 days before the festival, you haunt the Ishtar gate like a lovesick teenager. Every caravan gets your desperate attention. The desert wind brings false hope with each dust cloud on the horizon. Guards start eyeing you suspiciously. Loitering near city gates suggests either spying or smuggling, both creatively punishable. Then, as the sun reaches its zenith, you see them. A Persian caravan, camels loaded with covered goods, entering through the gate with the casual arrogance of people who cross borders like stepping stones. You scan for someone who might be Darius. There, a tall man with sun-weathered skin and calculating eyes, directing the unloading. You approach, trying to project confidence while the desert wind tries to blow you sideways. Master Darius? Arash of Nippur sends his greetings. He turns, evaluates you like merchandise. Arash? That wine-loving son of a diseased camel? What does he want now? He said you might have dates to sell. Premium quality. I need 5 baskets urgently. Urgently. He smiles, and it's not reassuring. Urgent means expensive in any language, my Babylonian friend. You're too tired for elaborate negotiations. Name your price. He names it. It's exactly the amount of gold you have left, down to the last shekel. Either he's psychic, or word of your desperation has traveled faster than his caravan. You hand over the gold without argument. The dates he produces are magnificent, plump, glistening, so perfect they look divinely crafted. The desert wind carries their sweet scent across the gate area. Other merchants stop to stare. These aren't just premium dates. They're the kind of dates that myths are made of. From the hidden oasis of Siwa, Darius explains, where Alexander the Great once consulted the oracle. The dates grow in groves tended by priests, watered by sacred springs, harvested only under the full moon. Probably complete nonsense, but it's excellent nonsense. The kind of story that will impress Sinidinum's guests. You thank every god you can name, including some Persian ones for good measure. The day of the festival arrives with the desert wind unusually calm, as if nature itself holds its breath. You deliver 60 baskets to Sin-Idinam's compound, each one a small miracle of survival and desperate commerce. His servants inspect them with the thoroughness of priests examining sacrificial animals. Acceptable, the head servant declares. Lord Sin-Idinam will be pleased. You don't wait around to find out. You've learned that lingering near powerful men's celebrations invites participation in their entertainment, usually as the victim. Let them enjoy their dates while you enjoy continued existence. Now that our story has come to an end, imagine yourself drifting away from it all. The soft sound of the desert wind outside your window, thoughts dissipating, and of course, the cozy pillow waiting for you. The day's tension melts away. Your eyes begin to grow heavy, and the world of dreams gently opens before you. Good night, relax, and sleep well.